Well, on that note, these are not all my own questions. A lot have come from the editors of the magazine.
These are not all my own answers.
So I take all of the credit and none of the responsibility.
All right. You must be from Hollywood. You must be my lawyer.
Disclaimers out of the way. We all know that you work very hard to kind of display yourself as sort of the wild man of rock and roll.
I don't display myself like that. I think people perceive of that often because you get little bits and pieces of me in a video, or you get a little bit and a piece off of a song or a record. Most people don't listen to whole records at all. You hear a bit and a piece on the radio or something in somebody's car when you're going somewhere. But as far as, proposing that to you directly, not at all. What I propose to you is Little Busby Berkeley mixed in with some real intense discipline, and people will see one thing or the other and lock right into that. But I think it's pretty evident to the average person of what's going on here. And there's a variety of things. It's layered. It's like an onion, not a bell pepper, man. There's a lot inside of it, layer after layer. Bell peppers are empty.
I remember talking to Rudolph Schenker of the Scorpions. Said, "I'm not a wild man here. I'm a wild man on stage." And he said, explained for 30 minutes how he's completely different off stage than he is on stage.
I don't buy that.
You don't buy that?
That dog won't hunt, man. Translate that expression. That dog won't hunt. I'm so tired of hearing people tell us about, no, that was created by my management. That's not really me. No. This is what you get here in the interview is the same as what you get on stage, same as what you get on the records. There's a little bit of eccentric there. There's certainly there's a lot of imagination at work here, or at least I'm trying to, But it's natural. It's a real thing. And the interview that you'll get here today won't be the same as what you get tomorrow, because that ain't human. That ain't 3D. You're 3D. Why can't I be? Same as for the shows. And sometimes people are surprised. In fact, I had a gal from Stars and Stripes ask me, where was it? Schweinfurt, Germany, a month ago. Says, I talked to you, she says, 6 years ago, and you were a very different person than you are now. She says, I think you were talking to me honestly back then, but now you're performing for me. I said, hey, don't flatter yourself. I says, hopefully we're not going to be tomorrow what we are today. That's evolution. I don't want to move uptown on you. I'm not interested in that either, but hey, you got to keep adding things, add a little bit to the soup.
What's Diamond Enterprises?
Diamond Dave Enterprises is everything. Most bands hire everything out. Most bands, for those of you who are reading this, who don't understand exactly how the business works, when Huey Lewis makes a record, he hires somebody to produce it for him. He hires somebody to design and direct his video for him. He hires somebody to design his album cover for him. He hires a choreographer to work with him, on and on and on. Diamond Dave Enterprises is all of that in the same basement. Literally, same basement. And that's been a process of evolution since day one, 10 years ago. Well, actually, 15 years ago. There was music before albums for me. Yeah, and that way I can get a little closer, to that last 0.5% of what you're dreaming, what's in your mind or in your heart or in your pants, depending on the subject matter. Yeah, see, because as an artist, you're only going to get 99.5% close. Usually it's closer to 40% what it is you dream. Dreaming and executing the move, two different things. I can teach it to you in 3 minutes. See you in 3 years. Okay? That's the approach here, or at least that's how I perceive life. And wow, okay, why produce? To get a little closer to what's inside my head, Why direct videos? To get a little closer to what we're really about here. Whether that's as far as the sense of humor, or whether that's about the music, or whatever it is, what's happening on stage. to realize those dreams and see them come out the way they actually are in your imagination.
It reminds me of Nightmare Productions, which has always managed Journey, and have kept everything in-house as well. Everything they do is under the banner of Nightmare.
Sure.
But of course, that's controlled by the manager. Herbie something.
Herbie Herbert.
Herbie Herbert.
Sure.
How about in your case? Are you the Svengali of the whole organization?
I'm the dictator, but I'm very benevolent. I surround myself with a number of people, continually changing cast of characters who are expert hyper-professionals in each of their fields, who have great inspirations, who are colorful and eccentric, who are to the left of center, because I find that inspiring, because it can also squeeze you to death if you close off the outside world, and that's what Herbie has done. You know, it becomes smaller and smaller instead of bigger and bigger. Now, yeah, maybe Herbie's not a good example. I don't know so much about their business now. But I'm sure you can understand what I'm saying. That if you close yourself up and say, "Oh, I'm going to do this now, and just me, I'm going to do that now," etc., your neighborhood gets smaller and smaller, as opposed to handing out green cards right and left. Okay, you got to qualify. But yeah, because there's going to be a mutual inspiration thing there. It's like a think tank. You're going to exchange of ideas, etc. But there's got to be a leader. There's no such thing as true democracy in a band or anywhere else, in any other thing, whether it's politics or what have you. Not for long, there isn't.
Does that approach owe more to your own personality, or just street smarts you picked up along the way?
I think street smarts. I think that's perceptions that I've learned up and down this highway, is seeing how other people do it. I read constantly, printed words, closest thing to my heart, and seeing how people do it, seeing things in their true light, in their true nature. You know, my own personal nature is to work ensemble, as opposed to being an auteur. I find it much more adventuresome. I find it much more colorful. And more frequently than not, I merely preside over the accidents.
How's it working out, though? Is it, are things going to your satisfaction right now?
Never. I'm stressed out of my mind. But what's new? That ain't news. I don't even know why we're talking about it. All of you who are reading this know it already.
Do you follow business trends and like what everybody else is doing with their careers and stuff?
I'm curious to see what people are doing, but I find more often than not it's a case of learning what not to do. I'm fascinated by the little dances that we do for each other, especially under the guise of business or academia. Did I pronounce that right? Doesn't matter. We're reading this. Yeah, I'm fascinated. I like people. I like to watch. I like to be a part of it, but I really like people in all the different aspects. Henceforth, the jungle trips. Henceforth, going on the road more or less permanently. Henceforth, on and on. And, yeah, but I find that most of our colleagues in the music business, I think that's a polite way of putting it, don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, much less a microphone.
What's the problem? Are they naive?
It's not that so many people are incapable. It's simply a matter of having to put in the hundreds of hours of legwork so that you can develop your own approach, or at least even participate in it. And you take your average musician, he spends years and years in the local beer bar. Say that 3 times real fast. You'll try it in the car home. You spend all those years in the beer bar learning a certain skill, a craft, a certain art. You learn how to execute the maneuver, right? You got to learn to play with the flute. You got to learn what to do when the guitarist breaks a string. You got to learn on and on and on. Now you have your Mercedes-Benz, and somebody tells you, now you have to start all over again. You got to start from the ground up, learning a whole variety of things, whether that's business approach or propaganda. Propaganda is a beautiful thing, but there are basics to learn before you can accelerate into your own style, just like anything else. I was never afraid of putting in the time. In fact, the time